Excite Truck was released in North America on November 19th, 2006. One of 9 exclusive launch titles for the Nintendo Wii, and one of only 3 launch titles for the system that were published by Nintendo. Excite Truck was one more in a long tradition of forgotten game console launch titles. Whenever a video game console launches, there will be at least one game, often first party, that despite being kind of mediocre and uninteresting and lacking in content, gets a lot of attention and hype, even though if it had released any other time, no one would have cared about it. The mediocre launch title receives attention just by nature of being first and being one of the only games available for the system. And then, as time passes and more and better games come along, the mediocre launch title gets completely forgotten by the world and history. And that is Excite Truck. At least, that's what I thought Excite Truck was. Just another forgettable console launch title. I did play this game way back when it first released, and I could remember only 2 things about it. That it was a racing game, and that it was kind of boring. Well, I was a dumb, stupid idiot, because if there is one word that cannot describe Excite Truck, it is boring. I mean, look, the word excite is right there in the title. Now, I don't play a lot of racing games, and I don't like racing games that much, but I say the following statement unironically and without exaggeration. I think I had more fun playing Excite Truck this week than I've ever had playing any other racing game ever in my life. Excite Truck was the 3rd game in Nintendo's Excite series, the most famous and most popular of which was Excite Bike on the NES, released in 1985.
ファミリーコンピューターにエキサイトバイク登場。コントローラーを駆使して次々現れる障害をクリア。大きくジャンプ。ファミリーコンピューターエキサイトバイク。
The Excite series would have a sort of astounding 3 releases on the Nintendo Wii, but has not seen a single release since. The Excite series has long disappeared into the forgotten video game franchise either, joining the 100 other popular Nintendo series the company has completely abandoned. Excite Truck was developed by Monster Games, who previously had developed nothing but a couple of kind of decent, licensed NASCAR racing games. Excite Truck would begin a productive partnership between Monster Games and Nintendo, leading to the previously mentioned 2 other Wii Excite games, a Pilot Wings sequel, and a couple 3DS ports. Their partnership ended in 2015, and Monster Games has since returned to their roots of developing a perpetual vomit spew of whatever quality NASCAR licensed games.
It's not the most exciting thing in the world.
The appropriately titled Excite Truck is a game about exhilarating motor-wheeled vehicles for hauling goods. The gameplay in Excite Truck is so freaking fast, you never have a chance to react to anything. And it feels like there are a million things happening around you all the time. You're nitro boosting at 100 miles per hour. You're flying through the air. You're drifting past forest fires. You're dodging trees and collapsing buildings. You're getting rammed or other cars are falling on top of you from nowhere. Things are exploding. The actual terrain of the racetrack is morphing underneath of you in real time as you race. An actual mechanic of the game is to trigger the racetrack morphing at the exact right moment to fling your rivals into outer space. The game never stops and never slows down, and even if you crash or get spun around, the game immediately throws you back into the race with a rocket boost, and even rewards you afterwards points for having crashed. This game is so fast and chaotic, it's honestly a little exhausting to play. A 3-minute race feels like it lasts half an hour because so many things are happening at once. It's completely absurd and over the top, and it's really, really fun. Pun intended, it is a blast to play. The motion controls work really well. Driving games are a very natural fit for motion controls. Tilt the controller like you tilt a steering wheel to steer the vehicle. There's not much to screw up here. I did appreciate that Excite Truck uses the motion controls for a little more than just steering. You also use the motion controls to control the truck when it's in the air, tilting it backwards or forwards to get more or less air, trying to angle your truck perfectly on the ground to get a speed boost. The air controls do feel a bit finicky at times, but things are happening so quickly it's hard to do anything smoothly in this game. As much fun as it is to play, the game's greatest flaw is a lack of content and variety. Excite Truck feels a lot like Wii Sports in that I think they're both tech demos designed to show off how the motion controls can work, but not meant to be full games. You can experience everything Excite Truck has to offer in a single weekend. All of the tracks and cars feel indistinguishable from each other. There are only 2 modes, Excite Race, which is the fun one, the chaotic over-the-top truck races where getting enough points through stunts and tricks is as important as getting first place. And then there is the challenge mode, where you can challenge yourself by driving through consecutive gates and rings, or participating in a fairly dull demolition derby. All of these challenges are varying degrees of completely impossible, because the trucks in this game control like a stick of butter on roller skates in a tornado while smoking crack cocaine, which is fine when you're in the middle of a chaotic race across a transforming map where you're slipping and sliding all over the place, and the only goal is to launch yourself generally forward at supersonic speeds. But when the game requires actual precision, it's just barely possible to control. This challenge wants you to pass through 130 shrinking goals in a row with a ticking down timer while your truck is spinning across the course like a Star Trek actor purposefully flinging himself across a film set along with a shaky cam. There's also a versus mode, which I bet is really, really fun with friends, but I don't have any friends. In conclusion, Excite Truck is a really fun, really hectic, really fast racing game that doesn't have enough content to keep you playing for long and feels more like a tech demo designed to show off the motion controls than an actual full game. But even with those complaints, it shakes the mediocre launch title stereotype and is a fun game worth remembering.